You're not going to talk to me. You're not going to talk to me and talk over me
New York residents
because you don't want to hear what I have to say.
Oh, I'm listening.
So why don't you just keep your mouth shut?
Oh,
because you showed up.
Is that the way to talk?
You showed up.
Yeah.
And so you voted for this one big ugly bill.
I'm here on my behalf of my constituents because you shut the government down, and my constituents are suffering as a result of your ridiculous ploy because you're so afraid of Zohran Mamdani. By the way, when are you endorsing him?
By the way,
do you endorse him for mayor?
First of all, are
you going to endorse him for mayor?
Listen, you're a complete and total embarrassment right now.
Oh.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and New York Congressman Mike Lawler going at it over the government shutdown. Perhaps a good representation of just really how far both sides are when it comes to funding the federal government as we now begin day 29 of the government shutdown. So how much longer could this drag out? Well, Congressman Lawler joining us now to discuss the latest developments in Congress. Good morning to you, sir. Great to see you. And I remember I was just asking you, have you talked to him since then? And you said you have not, but you plan to see him today. Is that correct?
Well, I'll be down in D.C., so maybe I'll bump into him again. But, you know, look, this shutdown needs to come to an end. The House passed a clean CR well over a month ago now to fund the government, including critical programs like SNAP and WIC. And Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats are refusing to pass the clean CR, the same CR they've passed 13 times when Joe Biden was president. So this needs to come to an end. We need to be able to get back to work and deal with critical issues impacting the country, including addressing health care costs. But you can't do it at the barrel of a gun, and you can't do it while the American people are being held hostage. 42 million people are going to run out of food assistance this weekend. That is unconscionable, and it doesn't need to be. There's a very simple way to solve it today. Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats, all they need to do is vote yes on the clean CR that's been sitting in the Senate for a month.
Do you get the feeling that they're going to do something before this Saturday? I mean, are we really going to see 42 million recipients of these SNAP benefits, of these food stamps, not able to receive those?
They've backed themselves into a corner, unfortunately. I mean, Chuck Schumer saying every day gets better for us meaning the Democratic Party. Catherine Clark, the whip, saying that this is the only leverage they have in this Congress. And so they're really betwixt and between because in their view, they need to get something out of this. The problem is they're holding the American people hostage. And it is creating real harm across the country, especially on those who rely on critical programs like SNAP and WIC. But moreover, our military, our air traffic controllers not being paid. It's unconscionable. So I have always been consistent in this. I've never supported a government shutdown. I voted 8 times while Joe Biden was president to keep the government open and funded. I believe we need to do that, and Democrats need to do what they've always done, which is pass a clean CR.
Yeah. Well, Democrats have also always voted to keep the government open because it greatly impacts their party as well. How are your constituents being directly impacted by this prolonged stalemate on Capitol Hill?
Well, listen, I've had conversations with a number of nonprofits, including those that help with food insecurity, and they're deeply concerned about the looming threat of not having SNAP funding to support these families in need. And so to me, this is, again, unconscionable that we would put people in this situation by voting to shut the government down. That is why I've never supported a government shutdown. It's why I've always voted to keep the government funded and open, and why we passed a bill well over a month ago to make sure that programs like SNAP are funded. So people are concerned, and they should be, and it's exactly why Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand, my 2 U.S. senators, need to vote today to open up the government.
I want to ask you about the statement that you recently released, calling out Governor Kathy Hochul as well as Congressman Jeffries for their latest redistricting stunt. You say they are trying to rig New York's congressional maps. How so?
Well, this is the third time in 3 years that they are trying to gerrymander New York's maps. They did it in 22 when the Court of Appeals stepped in, threw it out, ruled it unconstitutional, and gave us a fair map. They violated the State Independent Redistricting Commission's rules as ascribed by the state constitution and ratified by the voters. And then last year, they did mid-decade redistricting, you know, the same thing they're decrying in Texas and elsewhere. They actually did it last year, picking up 4 seats. Not much attention was paid to it by the media, but the fact is they did it. And now they're going for another bite at the apple by bringing a new lawsuit under some cockamamie scheme to try and get another court ruling to reorder a new map. It's wrong. It's fundamentally wrong. I have always been opposed to gerrymandering. I railed against this when I was in the state legislature, and they did this in 2022, and told them they would be thrown out in court. If they proceed forward, this will go to federal court. It will go to the Supreme Court ultimately if they try this once again, and it will not go well. So my strong advice is to knock it off, allow the voters to decide who their representatives are and not the politicians. Gerrymandering is wrong. It should not happen no matter where or who across the country. It's why I'm introducing legislation to ban it and to ban mid-decade redistricting.
In that video that we showed with you and Hakeem Jeffries, you mentioned the mayoral race there in New York City with socialist Zohran Mamdani currently now leading in the polls. It is a race that has really captured the nation. You say he should be disqualified, though, from the race over a recent picture of him posing with a radical Muslim cleric connected to the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. How can New Yorkers vote for someone with those kinds of connections?
Well, it's even worse. He lied about his aunt, you know, in 9/11 and the impacts of 9/11 on his aunt. Meanwhile, 2,977 Americans lost their lives. He has no comment on that. You know, his comments about October 7th, in which he basically blames the Jews. He was raising money for UNRWA just a few weeks ago. Meanwhile, they were involved in the October 7th terrorist attack. He says he wants to arrest Bibi Netanyahu, but has no comment about whether Hamas should lay down its arms. Meanwhile, as you showed in the clip before our interview, you know, they're staging finding deceased bodies, including 2 Americans who remain in their captivity, Omir Nutra and Ite Chen. I just fundamentally am shocked that he is even in a position to become mayor of New York City. And the fact that Hakeem Jeffries and Kathy Hochul have bent the knee to him is really just unfathomable. And, you know, in 1 week's time, New Yorkers have a choice to make, and I hope they make the right one, because this will be disastrous for New York if Zohran Mamdani becomes mayor. It will lead to a mass exodus out of the city.
All right. Hope to have you on next week or some of the weeks following that to talk more about this then. Congressman Mike Lawler, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.